What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down Gardner Minshew's throwing mechanics, guys. We're going to be talking about how you can throw with more velocity, what's the proper sequence on your throw, how to throw on the run, and then we're going to talk about how shorter quarterbacks can navigate in the pocket and what a lot of people don't understand about shorter quarterbacks and why they can play this game and actually play this position effectively well. And guys, if you're a quarterback and you want to get better at reading coverages, knowing what the defense is going to do before they do it, especially before the season starts, you guys got to understand what you're looking at pre-snap. Check out that link in the description that says how to read defenses. We offer 100+ NFL defensive breakdowns, talk about how to read defenses, what to look for, and what will beat those specific defenses. We break down advanced defenses that you might not even see at the high school level, but it's good to know the concepts. All right, let's get started with this breakdown. Check out that link in the description if you want to get better at reading defenses. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is Minshew's sequence here. And what I mean by that is when his front foot hits the ground and when his hips start coming through and when his shoulders go back. And I think this is why, you know, smaller guy, right about, I'm not too sure how tall he is, but probably 5'11", 6 foot, somewhere in there. But when you're a shorter guy, you got to have great mechanics. You got to be able to lace this ball, and that's why size really doesn't have a whole lot to do, because you see 6'4" guys who have a weak arm, and then you see guys who are 5'11", 5'10", who could absolutely rip this thing, right? So we're going to be talking about the sequence, how you can get torque behind the ball and ground force. So you see when he's about to drive this throw, I want you to see he's taking this 3 and a hitch. Look at his base and look how strong his base is, right? He's got a slight bend to his knees. He's not worried about seeing over everything, and we're going to talk about that in the clip at the very end. When you're a shorter guy, you still got to maintain your base. It's not about standing tall and trying to look over everything. That's where everybody gets it mistaken. They think that shorter quarterbacks, you can't play because you're not going to be able to see over the line. He wasn't going to be able to see regardless if he stood up straight, regardless if he has a bend to his knees. We played through windows. So that's how you got to maintain your base and maintain your posture on this throw. So you see how he's got a nice, strong, sitting his butt down. His knees don't go way over his toes. That's a perfect base that you want to be in. Feet are just outside of his shoulders. Now, when he drives off of this back leg, I want you to see how quick his front foot's able to come down. When his front foot's down, he's at this backstroke and his front shoulder closes. This is something that I teach my quarterbacks a lot of. When you get your front foot down, your front shoulder should be closed. It shouldn't be opening in this like opposite L, and not opposite L. It shouldn't be open to this 90-degree L, and your back arm shouldn't be at this 90-degree L, because that will create an improper sequence of your shoulders going through first, or in some cases, the ball will dip behind your head, okay? So you want to really try to get your front foot down, because now if you get that front foot down fast, the whole process starts a lot quicker. And what I mean by the process is your hip drive, then your shoulders come through, then the ball comes through, right? So when you get this down, the only thing that will bring this arm up to that 90-degree angle is your hip drive. So you see how Minshew's hips are starting to come through, and he's starting to rotate through. We want to have rotational force, and how I get that is you want to think of it like maybe like you want to squeeze your knees together. You don't want to fling that back leg out way outside your frame. That's what a lot of people do, and that causes it to lean out of there into your front side. You want to try to bring that inside of your back kneecap to the front of your knee and just be able to rotate through right now, right? And so that's what causes that hip drive, and his hip drive is what brings him to 90 degrees, right? He doesn't spend a whole lot of time at 90 degrees. His hip is already starting to come through, which creates this nice, like almost C curve. That's what a lot of people call it. You got this C curve back here, bend to the knee, or it looks like almost like a D, right? You draw this D in the back of his stroke here. So this is a great position to be in because he's got a lot of power from that hip. He's driving off that back leg because of his base. His front foot's down fast, and he's able to rip this throw. Now, when we finish on a throw, it's very important that you don't open up that front shoulder and swing it out super wide, because that will cause your arm to fly to the inside of the field, right? You want to try to stay as square as possible with your shoulders so you have a consistent release point. Wherever you flick that wrist, that's where that ball is going to go. And you see there's a great position to finish in for Minshew here. Nice square with his upper half. What I mean by square is your hips are in a straight line and your shoulders are in a straight line. It's not like your shoulders are here and then your hips are here, because you're leaning out of it with your front side. You want to try to stay in the square position as possible. Let that wrist flip go. We got to have that proper sequence on the throw. It's a great job here by Minshew. Let's watch it again one more time. So nice, strong base. Let's drive this thing. Let's let my hips go through and just rip this ball. So now we're going to talk about throwing on the run. So on the run, it's really the same idea in terms of sequencing, in terms of your hip drive, and in terms of getting torque on the ball. So let's watch it full speed. So I want to talk about how he steps with his throwing side leg, and that's when his shoulders go back on this ball. Okay, so that's something that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people will step with this left leg right here, and then they'll start to take their shoulders back, and they get to this position right here in this 90-degree L when that right foot gets in that ground. You want to make sure that we step with the right foot as your shoulders are going back and as you're closing that front shoulder. Because think about it like this. You have momentum that you created because you're on the run, right? And you're running at the target. Your belly button's attacking the target. So you have momentum. That's no different than hitching into a throw, right? It's different, obviously, but it's kind of the same concept. You got momentum to the throw. Now, all you got to be able to do is control that momentum. And when you step with that right leg in the direction of the throw, like if he were to step and his right foot was to go behind him, that's where his hips should be going, and he'd try to throw it back here, and he'd kind of fight the release and push this ball to the outside, right? When you can step with your throwing side leg in the direction of the throw, that gets your hips in the direction of the throw, and your hips are going to be driving through because you have momentum, because you're on the run. So all you got to make sure you do is you close that shoulder to generate some torque and create that slingshot when your left foot right here starts to swing through. And when you can swing that left foot through, that's no different than following through with the back leg. And now when you finish, it's the same idea. You want to stay square with your upper half. You want to keep that front arm nice and tight to your frame and let that wrist flick go wherever you want the ball to go. Close the shoulder as you step. Let your back leg swing and your hip drive bring this thing through. Be square on the release point right here like how he is, and let my wrist flick go at the target like I'm throwing a dartboard. And you see how he continues on the run. He doesn't throw it and then fade out of there real quick. He continues on the run and attacks that target. That's a great mechanically sound throw on the run here from Minshew. Let's watch it again full speed. So he's coming out here. Step with your throwing side leg at the target as your shoulders go back, and that will sling the ball through. It's the same concept, guys. And if you're a lefty, you're going to be stepping with your left leg. So you're going to be coming out. You step with your left leg. Then you rotate that front shoulder. You rotate that right shoulder. You let your hips swing you through. You swing your right leg through, okay? Then if you're a righty, it's what we just discussed, okay? So now we're going to talk about short quarterbacks navigating in the pocket, and I think this is something that not a lot of people understand, right? So I was a shorter guy. I was a shorter quarterback, so you have more, I would say I have more firsthand experience with this than guys who are, 6'4", 6'5" plus, right? Because they have the luxury of being able to stand back there, right? They have the luxury of being able to sit tall and go through progressions, and not really have to create time for themselves. But as a shorter guy, we play through these windows right here. And some offenses you see are designed for that. Like you see what they're doing in Arizona with Kyler Murray, right? A lot of that RPO zone read stuff, creating windows for him, throwing lanes for him. And it helps that he's athletic, right? If you're a shorter guy and you're maybe not on the most athletic side, I would suggest working on, maybe get a speed coach, maybe work on a lot on your footwork, because that's something that's going to be really beneficial for you. And a perfect example is he's a good athlete, don't get me wrong, but he's not like an athlete like Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. Minshew's probably a little bit better of an athlete. Minshew's a good example too, but Drew Brees, because he's been doing it for so long, he's not the best athlete per se. He's one of the best quarterback athletes, because you see how quick his feet are. And a quarterback athlete is very different. Everybody thinks a dual threat guy, when you think of an athlete who's a quarterback, is like a Lamar Jackson type, like Michael Vick type, guys who can run around back there. But, footwork is so important at the quarterback position. And when you get a guy like Drew Brees, he fits the profile for an athlete at the quarterback position. He's got great feet, can buy time, can get out of trouble and maintain in that pocket and work. And it's very similar to Minshew. Obviously, Minshew hasn't been doing it long enough and hasn't had the success Brees has had, but it's a good example for guys who maybe aren't just that 4'6", 4'5", blazing speed quarterback who could just take off and run to get him out of situations where they actually got to navigate and create space back there in the pocket. So that's a perfect example of what we're going to look at here. You see how Minshew, he's getting pressure right up this A gap, coming right in his face. So what does he do? There's the window here. We structure my drop to the pressure of the play. He's taking this drop and he starts to drift on his drop. Now he could step up into this window. It's almost like, and again, this is something that I had a lot of experience with. You take that drop, sometimes that throwing lane ain't going to be there, so you got to create your own lane, even with the drop. You almost want to take like a fishtail drop or like a fish hook drop where you drift. You drift with the pressure, but you still maintain your feet. You still maintain that drop, because that allows you to stay in time and stay in rhythm with the throw, right? And that's exactly what Minshew does. And you see here, he's able to maintain his base. He doesn't have to look over anybody. That's what a lot of people think. You got to stand back there and look over everybody. If you got great feet back here and can navigate, you can create windows for yourself. Russell Wilson does it all the time. Drew Brees, like I was talking about, does it all the time, right? And when you're not the most athletic guy, you're going to have to be able to do this kind of stuff where you drift, where you buy some time for yourself and you create space in the pocket. This is a great example of that for Minshew, and that's how we're able to navigate as a short quarterback and drive and make this throw. And you see he's able to keep the same mechanics, same leg drive, same hip drive, and drive this ball downfield. It's a great job. Let's watch it again full speed. So even with the structure of the drop, we're going to have to drift. Even when we're in the third step of a 5-step drop, we got to structure that drop to the pressure of the play to create that throwing window for ourselves. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this guy gave shorter quarterbacks, just all quarterbacks, some value. And again, if you're a quarterback and you want to get better at reading coverages, check out that link in the description. If you guys have any questions or any feedback on who you'd like to see me break down next, please leave that in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.